Hey guys, and welcome to episode 90 of Diehlman at Halftime, the NBA podcast that tops all others. I'm your host, Larry Diehlman, joined by my co-host, Chris DiPietro. If you're joining us for the first time, it's great to have you, and if you've been a regular listener, welcome back. We have a lot to cover today and not a lot of time to do it. We'll look at a general overview of the NBA this week, and then discuss some important topics across the association. Let's get to our content for the week. One of the bigger stories in the NBA this week comes out of Phoenix. Dillon Brooks is out 4 to 6 weeks with a broken hand. The Suns are currently 33 and 25 and seventh in the West. Devin Booker is also out for a week with a hip strain. Dillon Brooks currently averaging 20 points a game for the first time in his career in his first season in the Valley. He spent time with the Grizzlies and the Rockets. The Suns have a relatively favorable schedule coming up in the next week or so. They have the Kings, Pelicans, and Pacers, not all in a row, but just some of their upcoming opponents, some of the worst teams in the league there. That could benefit Phoenix while Brooks is recovering. Now, Chris, can the Suns escape the play-in tournament seeds despite being 2 games behind Minnesota for the 6th seed? Obviously a big blow for the Suns, but looks like it can be manageable.
I'm not sure if they can. This is a very competitive Western Conference. Last night in Brooks' first game out, they got beat up pretty bad by Portland. They only had 77 points as a team. Also, no Devin Booker last night, but they've generally been fine without him. They have a 6-8 record without Devin Booker. So to see them get beat up so bad by Portland, without Dillon Brooks is not a good look. This is a really big blow for a really fun Suns team. We came into the year expecting this to be a kind of disappointing transition year for the Suns. We kind of looked at this team like Devin Booker and scraps after they kind of blew up that core with Kevin Durant. But this season's been anything but that. They've been a great team that's held not a play in, but a play off spot for most of the season in this ruthless Western Conference. Their new head coach, Jordan Ott, who we've talked about a couple of times, coming over from Cleveland, he's really turned this group around and he's provided great coaching in Phoenix, which we haven't seen and I don't even know how long, maybe Monty Williams that one year. But maybe the biggest reason for the Suns' success, other than Jordan Ott, has been kind of this emergence of Dillon Brooks. He set the standard for the energy and intensity that they play with, which he's done for other teams in the past as well, and it's a very valuable attribute of his, and it's why he's been a valued player around the league for a long time. But he's also really taken shot creation matters into his own hands this season. He's averaging 21 points, like you said, a career high. He's been a really pleasant surprise on this pleasantly surprising Suns team. But yeah, this is a big blow for them. And it seems the playoff and the play-in teams in the West, those top 10 are pretty much set in stone. So I don't think they'll be in any trouble of missing a chance at the playoffs at least. But I think this might kind of lock them into that play-in spot rather than the playoff spot. I think they just fell to 7th in the West last night, and it's going to be tough to see them climbing out of this without Dillon Brooks.
Yeah, so the Suns just need to weather the storm without Dillon Brooks. He's been the biggest surprise, or one of the biggest surprises in the league this year. And Devin Booker should be back soon. So we'll see how the Suns can do in this stretch. It'll be interesting to see how the Suns can do that and if they can lock in the playoff spot instead of the play-in. So we are back from our 2-week special edition episodes for the trade deadline and All-Star break. And now we go right into the second half of the season as the race for playoff positioning really gets underway between now and mid-April. This one, oh boy, this episode is entitled The NBA Twitter Files. So who's raising eyebrows at the moment? So a moment ago, I said this episode was entitled The NBA Twitter Files, with today's episode going mostly on the social media platform world. We're going to start off with a section that we're entitling The KD Files. Kevin Durant has been in some, I wouldn't say trouble, but he's been under some scrutiny the last couple of days involving burner accounts. For those of you that don't know, a burner account is one on social media, particularly on Twitter, where somebody might use a fake account aside from their usual one to maybe make comments about somebody or basically to hide their identity when posting something. KD has been in this spotlight before in his career. I saw one that somebody had asked him why he left the Thunder to go to the Warriors back many moons ago. And Durant responded he didn't like the organization or playing for then head coach Billy Donovan. His roster wasn't that good. It was just him and Russell Westbrook. Now, the problem with that one was he forgot to turn his burner account on, so he was replying with his own account, basically referring to himself in the third person, which was hilarious. But now the news is there were some tweets going viral during the All-Star game last week with KD potentially using burner accounts to criticize various players and coaches, and some of these were wild. So back, yeah, Chris, they were
To say
wild.
the least.
I will bleep myself out a few times because these do get a little crazy. He criticized Steph Curry, where apparently he had said, if you don't screen and pass up shots for Steph, you're getting waived. Basically saying that he was holding Steph accountable and the players didn't like that. Referring to his head coach in Golden State, Steve Kerr, since MJ punched Kerr in the face, he doesn't expletive with expletive. Let's say that second expletive revolves around skin color. He called Russell Westbrook allegedly a quote triple double cocaine bear. Then with his time on the Nets, when Ben Simmons was his teammate, quote, I swear I miss Ben Simmons. Least that blank would give me the ball. Then
They're
it was
just too good.
then it was the Suns' turn. Referring to Devin Booker and then head coach Frank Vogel, he referred to them as Stalin and Hitler and Mussolini and Kim Jong Un. And finally, oh, there's more. Now we're on the Rockets, which is the present day. Quote, I can't trust Jabari to make an expletive shot or get a stop. He's low key, the hard R word. So those are just some of the examples of allegedly KD using this burner account. And Boardroom, which is KD's media company, recently eliminated its entire editorial staff. I don't know if that has anything to do with this, but something to note as well. Chris, what on God's earth was I just reading? Because this is wild. Now, it could just be somebody framing him, but with KD's history of burner accounts, if this is actually him, this is wild.
Yeah, this whole saga might have been a little more entertaining than the All-Star game, I thought. And there is some pretty extensive examples of people putting pieces together as to why they really do believe that this was Kevin Durant's account. But Kevin Durant, the basketball player, undeniably great, one of the best scorers ever. Kevin Durant, the human being, it's a little more divisive. After reading through all these threads and DMs, on one hand, I'm like, oh, he's insecure, he's petty, he should be above all this. And it kind of clashes with that confident, untouchable image we expect out of a franchise player and a player of his caliber. But on the other hand, he's human. He's honest. Is he kind of an asshole? Yeah, but he gets frustrated just like you and I get frustrated. He says or thinks things that he probably doesn't fully mean, just like we do. And I think his willingness to be publicly imperfect is a pretty admirable trait of his at the very least. So all in all, leaning back and forth between these two stances, I've kind of just chose to sit back and be amused through all of this. It's really been a crazy a week or so on NBA Twitter. This has been our maybe most hot development in a long time. Larry, what was your favorite or most amusing DM of the KD Files saga?
I don't know, because the ones I read off, it's not even all of them. I couldn't obviously list them all.
Yeah, they get pretty bad.
Let's see. I don't even know. Like
I took some screenshots of my favorites. I have them locked and loaded.
The Steve Kerr one is definitely
Steve
insane.
Kerr one's hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
the cocaine bear is like so it's so random.
that I think it might have to be the unquestioned best one. I think that's number one. I think that
Comparing
stands alone.
comparing Devin Booker and Frank Vogel to some of the worst people in human history is interesting because there were reports that, KD was getting scapegoated in Phoenix and, Devin Booker is the team leader and blah, blah, blah. And they traded him to the Rockets. So, yeah, Stalin, Hitler, Mussolini, and Kim Jong are some of the all time worst people ever. And I don't think Devin Booker and Frank Vogel have done anything that horrible in their lives.
Probably not.
or ever. But I one of the crazier ones too is criticizing your current teammate allegedly with the
Oh
Jabari
yeah, that's
calling
crazy.
calling Jabari Smith the hard R word and telling them he
Larry, I have to correct you. That word is not the hard R. That's the R slur, is what we're referring to here.
ah
See when you watch Dillman at halftime, you don't just watch for the basketball content. You watch it for semantics. I mean that's our second kind of area and expertise. We love to get into here on the pod. So I had to correct you there. Two nasty words though. Two words you don't want to see said about your own teammate.
yeah
I mean,
current
it's just insane. It's just insane that he said that.
Yeah, current teammate is just a whole nother level of craziness. Like former teammates is one thing, but somebody who you see every day in the locker room and on the court is something else. Because then you're going up to that teammate and
Yeah.
if they think it's you, they kind of just give you that look and say, "Oh, I still can't make a stop, can I?" Or, "Oh, I'm still, stalling, aren't I?" So,
Yeah. It's
just
crazy.
yeah, absolutely
Um,
wild, but
I thought the Ben Simmons ones were really funny because you see him going in on all of his former teammates saying these nasty things and like he was almost like pretty forgiving to Ben Simmons in that regard, but just like the things he said about him were really funny. Like, I swear I miss him. At least that expletive would give me the ball. And there was another Ben Simmons what I thought was maybe even funnier. Ben Simmons is going through depression. He ain't playing ball either. Why would we trade Kyrie for an expletive who hates basketball? And that's just so funny to me. The James Harden one's good. I miss James, man. That's a good expletive. Slightly delusional, but I understand him. True, man. True. James Harden's polarizing in that respect, and Kevin Durant knows that. This is a gold mine, Larry. This is just great. It's so amusing and it's just hilarious. And I think it almost kind of encapsulates who Kevin Durant is as a human being. He's so open and he's not afraid to let people know how he feels. But he's also, like I said before, he's just kind of an asshole. That's just kind of in his DNA. And we saw all of that through this KD file saga. It's been a fun week on Twitter.
wait till we get the Kevin Durant Diehlman at halftime tweets. Now those are going to be hilarious.
Yeah, when he comes out and exposes Larry for all of his controversies, it's
Mm.
gonna it's gonna be an ugly day in Dillman at halftime history. Okay, so in honor of us discussing the Kevin Durant DM burner account saga, we wanted to take a more inclusive look at some of the greatest moments in the history of NBA Twitter. So to commemorate that, we will be holding an NBA Twitter draft where we will be going back and forth in a snake order, drafting our favorite, most legendary, infamous, iconic NBA tweets of all time. So, Larry, as the host, I will give you the honor of beholding the first overall pick in the NBA tweet draft.
All right. First pick, definitely a lot of great options. As I said earlier, there's too many in the course of history to name them all. I feel like both of these sections that we are doing need like the perfect music. I feel like the KD files, we should have had like the Law and Order dun dun to really kind of start that off. But I think this section we need like the tweet, the bum 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 bum. So with the first pick, in the all-time NBA tweet draft, I'm going with a throwback to the mid 2010s. Joel Embiid trying to recruit Rihanna as his girlfriend. Rihanna allegedly told Joel to, quote, come back when you're an all-star. And then Joel eventually tweeted once, happy birthday, babe. I'll take you to Giorgio's when I'm back in LA this summer at Rihanna, hashtag hot. Joel was really on that, trying to get Rihanna to link up with him, and Embiid eventually became an all-star, and Rihanna never took him up on the offer. Joel moved on. Now Joel is married and with a kid, so I think that has worked out well, and Rihanna is still a superstar in her own right. But Joel Embiid was wild back in his days. For those of you that have never seen the old Joel Embiid on Twitter, go look that up because that is an adventure in and of itself. So Joel Embiid coming into the league, winning Rihanna is my first pick.
That's a great pick, and yeah, you're correct. Even though it didn't work out between the big fella and Rihanna, they're both each having their respectful, great, successful careers at the moment. Shout out Joel for the attempt. In the second overall pick in the all-time NBA Twitter draft, I will be selecting Russell Westbrook, tweeted by Russell Westbrook. This is an all-timer. It really just goes to show you the level of confidence Russ was on in that time frame during his prime in those Oklahoma City years, where he just felt the need to just pronounce his name, which is just really powerful if you really think about it. I mean, I'm a pretty confident co-host of this podcast, but if I had that prime Russ energy, I might lead off all of my sentences with Chris Dippy. And that's how Russ was feeling at the time, man. I mean, it's just such an encapsulation, a strong indicator of how confident Russ was and how on top of the world he was playing and how on top of the world he felt during those prime OKC years. So yeah, I just have to go Russell Westbrook by Russell Westbrook.
Russell Westbrook back in his prime was a different player, honestly. Like the triple doubles, literally over the years to most fans have kind of lost value just because Russ was doing them so much. And now with Nikola Jokic of the Nuggets, Russell Westbrook really took over Oscar Robertson's record and just skyrocketed. He's not the player he once was, but yeah, Russ back in the day was something else.
Okay, I set a tough standard here with Russell Westbrook by Russell Westbrook, and I'm really looking at a lot of great options here. I love this draft board I put together. We had some really great interviews with the guys. But with the third overall pick in the all-time NBA Twitter draft, I'm gonna go with Don't Agree with the Furniture Layout, but I'm Not an Interior Designer by Blake Griffin, as he was trying to convince DeAndre Jordan to stay with the Clippers in 2015.
Nice.
Not only was that tweet hilarious and it had the picture attached with a chair propped up against a doorknob so that they couldn't exit the house. Um, not only was it just hilarious, but it kind of like it was a genuinely powerful moment at the time because DeAndre Jordan was kind of the hot commodity of that free agency cycle, and people thought at the time he was pretty much a done deal to the Dallas Mavericks. But then Blake Griffin comes out with this tweet, like clearly insinuating that he's not letting DeAndre Jordan like leave his house and he's keeping them there forcefully. And there was a strong comedic element to it, and there was also just a strong impact of the tweet because, like I said, people thought him to Dallas was a done deal, and now Blake Griffin is trapping DeAndre Jordan inside of his Los Angeles home. And then obviously Jordan re-signs with the Clippers, and it proved to end up actually meaning something. So not only was it really funny, but it was like, damn, like it was powerful. It was like, oh my God, like we don't see news broken like that. We see a Shams tweet and it's big news and we talk about it, but we don't see Shams pulling out any sort of funny maneuvers or methods to breaking the news. Not that he should. He's the big primary reporter for ESPN and he's doing his job, but just seeing the way like the news was so massive and seeing it broken in that way, that was a legendary NBA Twitter moment. So I'm loving my squad so far.
DeAndre Jordan was one of the, like you said, one of the biggest gems in that free agent class. And then him re-signing with the Clippers as they were holding him hostage, basically. It didn't work out in the end. The Clippers never could get out of the second round under Doc Rivers, but DeAndre Jordan and Blake Griffin were one of the best front court duos in league history, and especially at the time in the mid 2010s. DeAndre Jordan, unfortunately, now is rotting away with the Pelicans in his old age. So, rip to his career. He had a good squad going so far, and so far I just have the top one with Joel Embiid being all over Rihanna. So now it is my turn with the fourth pick and the fifth pick, actually. With the fourth pick in the all-time NBA tweet draft, we are going with, quote, I'm watching the History Channel in the club, and I'm wondering, how do these people know what's going on the sun? Ain't nobody ever been, end quote. Kevin Durant, who we just talked about.
That's great.
KD,
That's great.
KD had some of the most random tweets of all time. First of all, why are you watching the History Club anyway? Second of all, why in the club? And third of all, why are you saying what's going on the sun? Like, out of all the things that could be on the History Channel, you're saying, who's reporting from the sun or who's reporting what's going on the sun. So that is just something that is like completely random. Kevin Durant, when he was in his Thunder days, tweeted some of the most random. He still tweets like random stuff, but Back when he was on the Thunder, it was a different shift, I guess. Maybe he matured or maybe he hasn't, I don't know, but
He
um
transitioned to burner accounts instead of his public.
watching the History Channel in the club is number 4.
It's a great pick. It's a great pick. No words. No words. Great selection.
So now we'll transition to the fifth pick in our draft. A little bit of an older player, obviously not somebody who's as well known now as he was back in the day. I'd like to apologize, Jazz fans, that were offended by my tweets. If I knew you guys had internet in Utah, I would have never made those tweets. And that was said by Vernon Maxwell, apparently heckling Jazz fans and being sarcastic, saying that they don't have internet access or just telling them that they're dumb enough, just to understand those tweets. Or he just sarcastically was saying that they didn't understand. Or, yeah, Jazz fans have had some interactions with NBA players over the years, Russell Westbrook being one of them. And they Jazz fans are very passionate, but it has gotten off the rails at times. And Vernon Maxwell taking a jab at Utah and Utah Jazz fans and roasting their internet coverage. So that'll be my fifth pick.
Someone had to say it, man. So someone had to say it. Vernon Maxwell, we appreciate your transparency regarding the wonderful Mormon people of Utah who don't have strong internet connection. Speaking of internet connection, this isn't quite an NBA player tweet, so I can't include this, but the legendary Young Thug tweet regarding James Harden and his pro-police mask back in 2020. He don't got internet, said Young Thug about James Harden. People were criticizing James Harden for his mask selection. I wish I could include that one, just had to shout that one out. That's one of the most legendary tweets of all time. That's one of my all-time favorites, but I can't pick it here. Young Thug, as many of you probably know, never suited up in an NBA jersey. Just had to shout that one out real quick. As we move on to pick number 6, I believe, of the all-time NBA tweet draft. And with my third selection, I'm gonna go with, well, I'll be damned. Dirk got him a sister by Evan Turner. Just a stunning display of honesty from Evan Turner, really kind of revealing his taste in women. Maybe in a slightly out-of-pocket manner, just directly shouting out a legend of the game and being a bit brash towards the legendary Dirk Nowitzki's sister. But it was just a raw display of honesty. And I have to commend Evan Turner for that. Evan Turner, maybe not the most successful NBA player, but basing it off this tweet right here, it might have been a great player off the court, if you know what I'm saying. So shout out Evan Turner. He's my third pick here as I continue to build my squad here. With my fourth overall pick and the seventh overall pick of this all-time NBA Twitter draft, I'm gonna have to go with Maybe It's Me by LeBron James. I love the short and sweet ones. I love the short and sweet ones. I think they're funny. I think they're hilarious. Russell Westbrook by Russell Westbrook. That's an all-time tweet. Maybe It's Me by LeBron James. Another powerful tweet. It really just forces you as the reader to introspect on maybe some of the troubles or tribulations you're going through in life, and maybe point the finger at yourself for the reasons you're going through some of these things, just like LeBron did when he made this legendary tweet. Maybe it's me. Maybe he was the reason he was struggling in his career. I believe he was a Laker at this point. I think this was kind of in the midpoint of his Lakers tenure. I think this was after the championship where the Lakers maybe weren't so hot. Maybe it was LeBron. It was just a powerful, powerful exhibit of self-awareness and accountability from LeBron. And on a real note, though, it's just hilarious. It's just so funny to see that. Same with my Russell Westbrook one. I got two hard-hitting short guys on my team. I got the bold and confident Evan Turner tweet, and I have the ever so powerful and historically relevant Blake Griffin tweet on my squad. So I'm really liking how my starting five is coming together here. That's my fourth overall pick, and that is the seventh overall pick of this draft.
No, definitely a great pick with the Maybe It's Me. Like you said, yeah, short and sweet, definitely gets the job done. And, sometimes maybe it is you. Sometimes you got to take
Maybe it
accountability.
is. Yeah, for sure.
Criticizing yourself sometimes is the best way to go.
Larry, we're going back to you with 8 and 9 to finish out your starting lineup, and then back to me with 10. So let's hear number 8.
All right, now going back my way for my final two picks, and I'm getting the eighth and ninth picks for my fourth and fifth players overall in this draft. So already I have Joel Embiid, Kevin Durant, and Vernon Maxwell. For my fourth pick in the all-time NBA tweet draft, this is actually an interaction between a fan and a player. I'll read you both. The fan said, and he added the player in question. How about you win a ring, you expletive kill me, man, for rooting for you all the expletive time, and you always disappoint me. This is Carmelo Anthony we're talking about. That was the fan adding Carmelo and telling him to go win a ring. Carmelo hilariously responds, I didn't ask for you glazed donut face ass to root for me anyway. So Carmelo going right back at a fan for telling him to go win a ring and calling him a glazed donut face ass right to his Twitter face. That is my fourth pick. And players can be ruthless and sometimes they can take subtle jabs. Carmelo choosing to not go the subtle way and just call it like he sees it. Carmelo never won a ring in the NBA, but he won a ring here on Twitter. And then my final pick in the all-time tweet draft. This was a team. This wasn't a player. This was a team. This was the Houston Rockets.
No
No,
way.
sorry.
Oh no. No, 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 no. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Here's what happened. Setting the scene here. They were referencing the Mavericks back in the 2015 playoffs. There
No.
was an emoji, there was a horse emoji and a gun emoji pointed at said horse emoji with the quote, shh, just close your eyes. It will all be over
Larry.
soon.
Come on, dude. Come on. Let's go
This was
take
the
that.
this was the Houston Rockets back in the 2015 playoffs, basically about to put the Mavericks out of their misery in the playoffs.
Dude.
And what a absolutely off the hinges tweet. And the social media manager for the Rockets was fired for this tweet. So you can just tell that the Rockets did not think very kindly of the social media manager's thoughts on this scenario. And the Mavericks actually responded basically saying that, not very classy, but they wish them good luck in the next round of the playoffs. So the Mavericks going along with it. And yeah, really out of pocket by the Rockets to reference this to put them out of their misery. You usually don't see teams go that crazy, but I had to include that. Chris complaining about that. This is why we had extras. Sorry, I
Oh
took
man,
one of yours, but
oh dude, that
yeah,
hurts. That hurts. That's I was really looking forward to adding that at the end of my squad here to just create the God Squad.
got the
Man,
steal
I
of the
mean
draft.
that's a steal. That's an absolute gem this late in the draft. That one is absolutely hilarious. I'm a huge fan of that, and it makes me question some of my earlier picks and if I should have leaned Houston's way earlier. Man, that one hurts. That one hurts. But that's why we have a full comprehensive draft board here. Gonna have to go a little lower than I intended here, but I have some wonderful options. Wow. I really do have some wonderful options here. I'm looking at Josh Hart. I'm looking at Eric Bledsoe. I'm looking at Dante DiVincenzo, some Villanova guys. I'm looking at Dennis Smith Jr. I'm gonna go Dennis Smith Jr. here with my final pick, the last pick of the all-time NBA tweet draft. Everybody has God-given talents. Mine just so happens to be slanging this wood in my pants by Dennis Smith Jr. We went confident with the Evan Turner pick. We went with that brash confidence, and we're going to go right back to the well here with Dennis Smith Jr. talking about his performance and possibly other areas of life outside of basketball. I'm sure he's a great performer in that realm, and he's clearly confident in his abilities. So I had to round out the squad with some more brash confidence here by Dennis Smith Jr. I'm loving my squad, though. I'm loving my squad. I feel good about it. I don't know, me personally, I feel like I took this one, Larry. I mean, we both made some great picks here, but I think we'll have to let the people decide.
I had Joel Embiid, Kevin Durant, Vernon Maxwell, Carmelo Anthony, and the Houston Rockets for my team. I'm pretty confident with that team. If you want, I have maybe one honorable mention because
Yeah, let's hear it. Let's
I had
hear
some
it. Yeah,
extras left over.
yeah.
Uh,
Let's go through our draft boards outside of the guys we picked.
there's Giannis Antetokounmpo, and this is because this is when he was new to the NBA and his English was not very good. Quote, I just taste for the first time a smoothie. All caps. Man, God bless America with a blushing smiley face emoji.
That's a great one. That's a great one.
What do you have?
So I'll quickly run through them. Have y'all ever tasted y'all significant other's breast milk by Josh Hart? Gooners by Joel Embiid. I don't want to be here, Eric Bledsoe. We talked about that before here on the pod. And it just again, like a lot of raw honesty here. I think that sort of a raw honesty is what makes these tweets great and memorable and legendary. But that rounded out my draft board. I had a great time. This was a wonderful segment, Larry. Alrighty, for our game of the week, finally back at it after 2 weeks. We're gonna go with a potential finals matchup here. The number one seeds in both respective conferences, the 44 and 14 Oklahoma City Thunder versus the 42 and 13 Detroit Pistons. This game's at Detroit. Number one seeds both conferences, two highest win totals in the league. A lot of the times you'll see maybe the top two seeds in a conference having more wins than the top seed in the other. But no, these are the top two teams in the NBA by record here. Thunder, we kind of expected to be up here. Obviously, kind of running through the NBA last season. They met some difficulty against the Pacers in the finals and against Denver, but they clearly proved to be the best team in the league with definitely the most promising future as well. So, this is a team we expected to be here at the top more than halfway through this season here. But the Detroit Pistons, we did not. We surely did not expect them to be the number one seed and playing as well as they have been this season. And they've really just leaned into their identity of just being super, super physical. And they do that with their all-star Jalen Duren and Isaiah Stewart down in the post, and they have Cade Cunningham playing at an MVP level right now. The offense clearly runs through him. I don't know if he's on Shea's level, but I mean he's right there on the former and current MVP favorites tail right now. In terms of the odds, I think Cade's third in MVP odds right now. Yeah, the Pistons have just been a shockingly amazing team this year. Well, we'll see how it shakes out when it gets to the playoffs, but you can't deny them anymore. They're a team to fear. This isn't just like a 1 or 2 month little run they've been on here. They've been absolutely dominant this entire season. And I think we know now, I don't think we're just making a quick judgment here. I think we know that they can hang with the Thunder. And we've seen the Thunder be human this year. They started off 24 and 1. We thought they weren't going to lose a game ever again. But they're up to now 14 losses. They're still first in the league in win percentage. But we've seen the Thunder be human in these last couple months, since that 24 and 1 start. So this is just going to be an incredible game. I will certainly be seated for this one. This is just going to be a sick game. And again, a honestly likely finals matchup. Detroit has some competition out in the East with Boston potentially getting Jason Tatum back. The Knicks are going to be hanging around there. The Cavaliers have been great lately with the addition of James Harden. And the Thunder, they have competition out West as well with San Antonio and Denver. But this is definitely a more than possible finals matchup here. I cannot wait for this one. I can't wait to see Cade go right in the teeth of that Thunder defense and scheme. And I'm excited to see how Chet Holmgren hangs down low with those bad boys down in the paint, Jalen Duren and Isaiah Stewart. This is just going to be an awesome game. In Detroit, I'm going to go with Oklahoma City here, 119 to 110. I think they're going to win fairly handily here. No real reason. I just kind of have a hunch that Oklahoma City is going to take this one. Detroit, while having the second best record in the league, and while having played well against the best teams in the league, I kind of like the Thunder's resume against the best teams in the league a bit more. I feel like they're going to feel like they've been here before. They've been in these big games, whereas Detroit's kind of new to this whole one seed thing. It's a vibes pick, but I'm going to go with Oklahoma City here by 9.
This should be a great game overall. Thunder and Pistons. So this game is on Wednesday, February 25th, 7:30 tip-off. First time, actually, both sides are seeing each other this season, with the series finale being on Monday, March 30th over in Oklahoma City. Since they're from different conferences, only twice a year for these two. And as you said, both of them on top of their respective conference. The Pistons right now winning 5 straight, and the Thunder have won both games since coming back from the All-Star break. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is still out with an abdominal strain, while J-Dub is going to be reevaluated in about 2 weeks with a hamstring strain. What was interesting to note, the undermanned Thunder actually beat the red-hot Cavs on Sunday, so James Harden has been cooking since he arrived in Cleveland, and the Thunder handed them a loss despite being undermanned. This should be interesting. This should be a challenge for the Pistons, not only with the Thunder, but they have a rough 6-game stretch They see the Thunder, obviously, the Spurs twice, and the Cavs twice. Ugh, that's ugly. A lot of top teams there all in one fell swoop. So something that this is going to battle test them for the playoffs, and we'll see if they can compete with some of these top teams in the league, especially whether in their own conference or in the other conference. Cade Cunningham has been smoking these past couple games. He's had 13 assists in each of his last two, including 42 points on top of that against the Knicks at the Garden. Everybody's cooking right now with the Pistons and the Thunder trying to get healthy. And like you said, the Thunder, not the team we saw from that 24-1 start. They've been mortal ever since, but still the top team in the league. I'm going to go a little bit closer than you, though. I'm going to say the Thunder, 125, 123. I think there'll be a little bit more points scored than what you said, but I still am going to take the Thunder. The Pistons, while they are a great team, you still have to kind of go with the favorites sometimes, and this is just one of those times where you still want to say the Thunder. They have so much depth. They have the coaching, they have the experience from the finals. So both of us are saying the Thunder. Scores are a little different, and we'll see if this is a finals matchup in June. Well, that's all the time we have for today. If you haven't already, make sure to follow the podcast accounts, Chris and me, on social media. The three podcast accounts on Instagram, TikTok, and X or Twitter are under @Diehlman@half. My personal X and Instagram are @Larry Diehlman. Chris's personal X and Instagram are @ChrisDippy. All seven handles are in the description on Buzzsprout, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Remember, although you can find Diehlman at Halftime on major podcasting platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and YouTube, the main podcast website is on Buzzsprout. The website URL is dealmanathalftime.buzzsprout.com. Feel free to send a comment by using the Send Us a Text button located in each episode's bio. With the exception of Apple Podcasts, the text option is available on Buzzsprout and all of the major platforms. Your comment could end up in the fan mail section of the Buzzsprout website. And don't forget to spread the word about Diehlman at Halftime. With today's episode being number 90, we are now in countdown mode for episode 100. We're 10 episodes away. Episode 100 should be roughly in early May. So make sure you keep up with that. We're going to have something really special for you, but the countdown is on to episode 100. See you next time, fellow Hoops fans.